So let's finish off the original Rocky franchise with Rocky Balboa, the sixth and final Rocky movie, even though we got Creed and Creed 2. But this is the final movie about where Rocky is the full-on central character. And even if we didn't get the Creed movies, which love the first Creed, I do. I really love that it exists, that the first Creed exists. But if we didn't have any of the Creed movies and Rocky Balboa was the end to the films, this would have been a perfect ending. And it still is in a lot of ways, because this movie does a fantastic job of being so strong in Rocky the character and how he has evolved throughout the first 5 movies. And how in this one, this is his final film, because it ends where... it starts and ends in a way where Rocky feels complete. Like, it feels like he's fully had a complete arc with all these movies, and this is the end for him. Even though he got Creed and Creed 2, but still, this is the final Rocky movie where he is a central character, or the main character. And I love how it starts out where it's 16 years after Rocky 5. Like, it's literally... Rocky 5 came out in 1990, and this came out in 2006. So, in order of the films being released, it was a 16-year gap between this and Rocky 5. And I guess Rocky 5 took place in 85 after Rocky 4, because they took place at the same time. So say it's been 20 years since Rocky 5 now. And it's been a good 4 years since Adrian Balboa has died. And to me, that makes this movie really powerful, in which it starts out with Rocky just on his own, and then you realize that Adrian has passed breast cancer, or women cancer as Rocky puts it. But that, to me, made this more stronger than a lot of the sequels. Even though I do love a lot of the sequels, this one... like, him and Talia Shire made a deal where, like, she even agreed with him, like, the way to make this movie important and the way to make this a great final movie for Rocky is have Adrian be dead whenever it starts. Have him have a reason and a longing to go back to fight. Have a reason why he's longing for something. He's longing for his wife that has been gone for 4 years. And I love that. I love the fact that her character is gone and Rocky is struggling, and that makes this movie one of the most emotional and most impactful of all the films. I don't think it's my favorite one of the films, but it's one of my favorites. And I think that the moments like that, whenever he's reminiscing about Adrian, is really incredibly powerful, because you get the first 5 movies. You get all these movies with them together. And then in this one, she's gone, and it just has all these scenes where, like, say he's standing on the doorstep of, like, the old crappy apartment he used to be at, where he looks down and it's kind of a ghost of her standing there from the first movie with the glasses. Like, whenever he tells her to go, like, he asked her to go inside with him, and she trusted him. And I love moments like that. And whenever Rocky and Paulie go to the broken down ice rink, which is gone and demolished, but he points out this is where we skated, and it shows them skating, like, in an image of the moment in time and the moment in 1975. That's really cool and really just works incredibly well. And I love the fact, too, that he also has a bad relationship with his son, Rocky Jr. after, like, since in Rocky 5 he had a bad relationship with him, too. But that's more because Rocky Jr. just was mad that Tommy Gunn kind of was taking the spotlight instead of him, and his father wasn't listening to him. In this one, I like the fact that they do another thing with Rocky Jr., where he is actually not wanting to be around his dad, because his dad is so famous, and he doesn't want his dad's shadow to loom over him. He wants to just be on his own, be alone, not deal with his father, because his father casts such a giant shadow, because this is this boxer who for 40 years or 30 or 40 years has been a famous boxer, and one of the most famous in this film's universe. So it's great to see that relationship with Rocky and the son, Rocky Jr. That's really cool. I really like that and appreciate that a lot. I also like that he has a restaurant called Adrian's, which was said it was established in 1995. So that's funny that he's got a restaurant named after her. And then there's like a shot going into the restaurant where her picture's up on the ceiling or on the roof, not the roof, but on the inside of the ceiling, where like it's like she's looking over them, and I just think that's a cool moment too. But it's like she's always in the movie, even though the actress is gone. So I really like that a lot too. And like I said, the scenes of him going to old places with Adrian, like whenever she was alive in the first movie, whenever he goes to the pet shop, whenever he goes to Mickey's dojo and thinks of Mickey, whenever they like in the skating rink, like all these moments are really great. And I love the fact that there's a character in this movie that was only in one scene in the first movie, but is vital in this movie, but is really good and really awesome. I really like this character a lot, and the new actress who plays her. The character Little Marie from the first movie. That one scene where Rocky's talking to her on the street and she's smoking and he tells her not to smoke and don't be a whore. Like he's saying this to a little kid. And in this movie she is a full-fledged adult and she has a kid now. And I like how Rocky's reaction is so funny because he meets her again and says, "It's funny, the last time I saw you, you were a kid. But now you have a kid of your own." Like it's funny seeing his reaction, and these two characters in this movie have a great dynamic because it's not a romantic thing in any way. But Rocky needs a woman character in this movie that fills the void, and not in a romantic way, but in a way of there's a character that it consoles him and keeps him where he's missing Adrian. He has a friend, not a romantic thing, just a friend. This little Marie, like as an adult now, like she is important in this movie, and she's actually really vital. And I really like this actress who played her. I thought she did a really good job. And it starts out with this great scene where they're dealing with this trashy group that like comes into this bar that she works at, and like Rocky goes and like throws the guy into the wall and like tells him to leave, and like it's a really good scene, and it's a really great moment between them and introducing them. And I want to talk about the villain real quick. Mason Dixon, who to me, rewatching this, I don't know if he's the weakest villain. I'd say like he's the weakest villain because this movie plays it more straight and more realistic, which is fine, but that makes the villain kind of forgettable. Like Mason Dixon it's not the actor's problem at all. Like he's not the reason why it's forgettable. It's just this character is just kind of there. Like it's not much of a villain or an antagonist that mattered. Like, yeah, you could think of other villains that, yeah, are cheesy and silly, like Drago, who is cheesy, but he's also intimidating, but he is memorable because of that. Mason Dixon is just kind of forgettable. Not the actor's fault, it's just this actor is just written very plain, like very realistically plain. Like, it's not anything that makes him stand out, which is unfortunate. Tommy Gunn is more memorable, and I didn't really like Tommy Gunn in 5, so that's kind of annoying, but I like that. I did like how they both, Rocky and Mason, the reason why they are going to fight each other, I actually did like this a lot because they did, like on TV, they're doing a sports ranking, or a boxing ranking, where like Rocky and Mason are the most important boxers of this time period of like when Rocky was first started and when Mason Dixon has started, and he has done as many things or a lot of things like Rocky has, and they are two of the most important boxers alive. So I like the fact that in a way fate kind of brings them together to fight. Like they both are kind of being pushed to fight because they are the two most important boxers, and I think it's cool just how they kind of have to fight each other because of that. Like that's a cool little thing. It just initiates the fight in a way that I think is kind of cool. And I like how Rocky for a while doesn't want to do this fight. Like he's old. He's older now. He doesn't want to do this anymore. and eventually realizes that's who he is. He wants to do it despite his son not wanting to, because his son again thinks it'll cause even a bigger shadow over him and everything else. And the realism angle in this movie is cool too, because I mean, it's cool, but it's also its detriment, because the Rocky movies, like 4 especially, is very silly, very over the top. But that makes it so memorable and so fun. But in this one, it's good that it's realistic. Like, it looks like you're actually watching a game on TV, like a boxing match on TV. Like, with how they film it, it's in a real sports mode whenever they're actually doing the match, or a lot of the match. I think that's cool. But it also makes it not as interesting to talk about, because the fight at the end is good, but it's just kind of plain, like, typical boxing match. Like, I mean, it's good, it's long, but it just, I don't know, like, it wasn't as memorable to me as some of the other boxing matches. And I really thought the end fight was good, even though it was just kind of bland. But I like the fact that, even though this is a trope in all these types of movies, I like how Rocky gets knocked down, and it shows all these flashbacks of everybody, every important character in the series, in Rocky's life, and it makes him stand back up and fight. And I thought that it's great, because this, again, is the culmination of all the Rocky movies and his full ending, like where this character is resolved. And I like that during the final fight, like he sees all these flashbacks of everybody that he's been friends with, he's loved everything about them, and then he uses that to win. And I thought that it just, even though it's a trope, it works really well. It's really cool. And he fights to win. And I like the fact that in this one, like the first one, he loses. And he doesn't care. Again, it's just like the first one, he just wanted to get there. He wanted to be able to make it that far. And in this one, I like the fact that he's old enough to where he's glad he got it that far too, because he's old, but he didn't think realistically he could beat against this younger guy. Like, he held his ground, but I like that he just thought he made it that far. It didn't matter if he won again, like the first one. Like, to me, it just doesn't matter if, like, he wins or not, but in this one at least. And I like how he goes to Adrian's grave at the very end, and he just says, "We did it, Adrian," and he lays flowers on her grave, and he walks away, and he kind of, the camera focuses on the flowers while it shows him in the background, and he just kind of disappears out of focus and disappears completely, like he's gone or descended into heaven, which I thought was a cool moment where it felt like that was the end of Rocky. Like, we got the full resolution with his character, and it worked incredibly well. So I really did love this movie. I think it is one of the best sequels. I think that it, despite having a villain that I thought was kind of just bland and boring, I thought it was a great sequel. I thought that it did everything right to make Rocky have this full character arc from all these movies, fully encompasses everything that he has gone through, and it is resolved in the end. And I love that. I love the fact that it's the end for Rocky, and it really was powerful. And Sylvester Stallone is incredible in this movie, and just in all the movies he's great, but in this one in particular, he's really moving, and just really, you feel so much for this guy who's lost everything, and the only thing he's got left is Paulie, which I don't know if that's a good or a bad thing, because Paulie's always a likable dick. He's not, he's still a douchebag no matter what, but he's just, that's all he's got left. And then he meets Little Marie again, so I thought that was a cool thing for him to have again. And I just loved how this character is resolved in this movie. And I love all these characters in the movie. I thought they were all great. I thought that everything about it worked really well. I think besides the bland villain, this is a really good one, and it's really one of the best sequels. And I don't know how I'd rank it, but it is one of the best ones. So overall, I really dug the hell out of Rocky Balboa. Again, rewatching it, it really emotionally is such a strong movie. And such a great final end for Rocky, even though of course we get Creed, but still, if this was the last Rocky movie we had, then that would have been totally fine, even though I love Creed. But this is a perfect final end for the character, so I love that. This movie just blew me away rewatching it. So yes, I loved it, and I'm really excited to talk about Creed next. So thank you guys so much for watching. I'm really interested to see, because I loved Creed whenever it first came out, so I'm going to see how I feel about it this time. So thank you guys so much for watching, and stay tuned for my next review.